You ready to roll your eyes real bad?
Go for it.
You ready,
Go for it.
ready to have those eyes looking at your goddamn brain?
Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jared Cast.
So it begins.
Hello, you beautiful people. It's the Jared Cast once again. Welcome. How you doing? You doing good? Hope everything's good. May your food always be hot, and may your nights be well rested. We're back. We're back with another Weird Bottle episode. We finished Breaking Bad. Hip, hip, hurrah. We're about to get into some weeb shit. But first, we wanted to recap a little bit. With me, as per usual, Brown Jared himself, BJ, Jared Ankanan. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about these movies, particularly the ones that we're doing brief reviews on. Mm-hmm. And I really I was really happy with the way the Breaking Bad thing turned out, and I'm excited to jump into more TV later on, and maybe open your eyes to a new way of life. Something like that, yeah. So like Jared said, it's a fun little episode, just the two of us again doing some shit. We're talking about the year in review so far. And so first, we're gonna do 3 top threes for you. The first one is gonna be our top 3 movies of 2021 so far. Our top 3 favorite new movies that we've seen in since January, and since like starting the podcast or whatever, and then also our top 3 most anticipated movies of 2021, and talk maybe a little more detail than we normally do in our lists. So we're gonna start with the movies that we've liked this year so far. And Jared, why don't you kick us off?
I shall. I did put a little stipulation on this for me, because it'd be kind of boring otherwise. At least, I don't know. In my opinion, I'm doing no movies that were featured in the Oscars or like heavily featured in the Oscars of this year. Because there was shit like Minari and The Father, and I was like, I don't want to just talk about movies that we talked about during our Oscar stream, and I've already kind of praised pretty heavily. Yeah. And so I kind of cut those from the list. And so these were 3 fucking bangers that were left over. First up, we're going to our Lord and Savior's A24 right off the top. And that's with the technology-driven Zola. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think it was carried by its unique style, directed by Janicska Bravo, starring Riley Keough, Taylor Page, Nicholas Braun, Coleman Domingo, and it's great. I think it kind of lives and dies by its style. It's based off a series of tweets, which is unique, and I think it's a good one for the digital age. It was a lot of fun. I think they did the story justice. And it's just a real good time. I know you've seen it, so we can kind of banter back and forth about it. I started off with
I missed out on it. I did not see it.
Oh,
yet.
You did? I thought you had. Oh, I don't know why I thought we talked about that.
I was going to the last time we talked about it, and then something came up, so I missed it in theaters. Yeah.
Hey, no worries. I'm giving it an 8.8. You know the general plot line, but I won't go into too much detail because of it, because I don't want to spoil it for you, because you will see it. I know you. You like to see every goddamn movie that comes out. So I have no faith that you won't see it. It might be a bit of a hot take. It got kind of Mostly positive, but somewhat mixed reviews. It comes out at a 6.6 on IMDb, 88 on Rotten Tomatoes, 60 or 76 on Metacritic.
Those
But
are good
like I
numbers.
said, it's got a cool integration of the digital world into movies, which is something people always struggle with. It's always either like, ooh, text bubble while somebody's on their phone or close up of the screen that like is all fuzzy. Another movie that did it well was Eighth Grade. But I think people are finally starting to capture the internet and texting in movies
Yeah.
for once. And so it's cool to see a movie really embrace that. It's got a batshit crazy story, real likable characters, real hateable characters,
Oh yeah.
and fantastically acted, fantastically edited. The music's incredible. The soundtrack slaps, and it was a great direction. So Zola, check it out if you haven't, I guess.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. How was it? I know it was shot on 16 millimeter. How did it? Was it like
It
as good as they say?
worked. Yeah, it definitely worked in its favor, I think, especially with that mixed with like kind of the weird modern style, because that modernity of the digital age is kind of the catalyst to a lot of the problems that happen in it. It's
Mm,
a nice little abrupt change when you're like used to the digital static and you see shit like tweets popping up and stuff.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it pulls it off well, and I think the movie benefits from it. It kind of feels like Florida Project because of it. It's got like that kind of retro
Yeah.
style to it, which I really liked.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I can't wait to
Yeah,
watch it. I'm just waiting until it's off that stupid $20 for a rental on digital.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I was lucky to catch it in the tiny ass theater here,
yeah.
and it was dope.
Nice, nice. My number three is also an 8.8. It's not the
Mm.
same title though, but it's also an 824. Um, I'm a big David Lowery fan. I really loved his film Ain't Them Body Saints. I also loved. I have not seen Pete's Dragon, but I did love A Ghost Story a lot, and so it was no surprise that I enjoyed The Green Knight. So for that would be my number three. I think if you're going in expecting like an adventure movie, you might not. You might be a little disappointed.
You'll get it for like 10 minutes.
You get it for like yeah, for like two shots. No, yeah, it's I think beautifully directed, beautifully acted. It's my favorite. It's my new favorite Dev Patel performance. Alicia Vikander always kills it. I think she's excellent, and same with Joel Edgerton, who's in the movie. But Ralph Ineson as the Green Knight, man. What a great creature to show on screen. So
Mhm.
just pops off the screen because with the practical and mix of CGI, and he's got that really gravelly voice that I fell in love with when I watched The Witch for the first time. Um,
Mhm.
he's also in the film Gunpowder Milkshake. He plays a mob boss, and he's really funny in there, or not funny, but like he's got the same. I just love that voice so much. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I guess what I really liked about it is like it's like a deconstruction of the hero genre, but also like a reaffirmation. Like this is what it takes. It takes honor and it takes integrity. Like those are the most important things. Not what you do, not what people say you do, but how you go. Like what drives you to make these choices and what drives you to want to be a knight. I think that the questions of what those qualities are and what those qualities mean are really excellently explored in the writing. And it's a good like commercial for the source material. Like it made me want to read The Green Knight. Um, it also it's also just really really beautiful, and like there's a scene that's really foggy, and like my jaw just dropped to the floor when it comes up. When you see it, and if you know me, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, and if you're and it's also a very you get a lot of sweaty and or wet Dev Patel. So if you're
What's not to love?
yeah, exactly, like that's everything you need out of a movie. So yeah, I love The Green Knight. I gave it an 8.8. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's kind of perfect because my number two is the Green Knight.
Hell yeah.
I give it a 9.0. I think we both kind of knew this would make both of our lists somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking phenomenal. I'm not going to reiterate everything you said, but ditto. I loved it for all those reasons. One thing that also stood out to me was it is that hero's journey and the deconstruction of the hero's quest, like you said, but also with a hero that we don't believe in. Like, we don't think he can handle the
Yeah.
journey he's on at all. We're like, why are you even here? Who are you? Like, what makes you so worthy?
Right.
And then by the end, he kind of proves his worth in a non-spoilery way. And I love it. The cinematography, though, absolutely makes this film what it is.
Yeah.
Like Jared said, don't go in expecting a high-paced Arthurian like gauntlet of battle after battle.
Right.
Rather than kind of more just the mental side of being that hero and that knight that it's needed, but it stays true to the roots that it takes, and I think that that's really why it's such a good and captivating film at the end of the day.
I agree. What was your favorite of like the chapters in his journey of the little adventures?
Probably the face off with the little fucking twerp kid.
Oh, really?
That starts in the battleground. I
Nice.
loved it. I loved
Yeah,
that
yeah.
dynamic. It kind of extends over like 2 or 3 scenes, but
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite chapter. What about you? The
I like
horny
the-
one?
No. So uncomfortable watching that with my parents. And then watching it again with my best friend from high school. Like, it was like,
Well, you guys shouldn't have been naked.
do you still like this movie? And she was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. What was I going to say? I think my favorite chapter was was when he encounters Winifred at night. I thought that was very well done.
Yeah.
I did not really
Winifred
like
at night is my favorite candle scent.
that actress plays a character in Falcon and Winter Soldier that I did not care for, so it was nice to see her get some good writing and get some get a good moment on screen. And I really like that. I also like the way that the underwater footage plays out. I think it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And even the introduction of the Green Knight, like just the blocking at the table to just everything about that opening is also fucking fantastic. The hubris of it all.
I agree.
Cool. I guess
My number 2.
you're number 2 now.
Yeah.
I was like, where are we if we had the same movie?
Yeah. My number 2 is the same score again. It's a 9. It's an even 9.
Wow.
Talk about playing with the hero's journey. This one plays with the villain's journey, and kind of dissects villainy from multiple different angles, from something
I've
like
not
20.
seen this one.
Yeah, so I'll avoid spoiling for you, but because it's very good, and even for someone who's like not a superhero nerd, I would highly recommend this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I think if you like James Gunn's style, you will enjoy The Suicide Squad. It's very character driven. It's very violent, and it's super funny. There are scenes in this film, especially involving the genius that is Margot Robbie, scenes that just made me cry tears of joy, which rarely happens in superhero fiction. That's a lie. It always happens. But here especially, like I almost stood up out of my seat when something happened with Margot's character. And I think John Cena and Idris Elba were great additions to the Suicide Squad franchise. But the two biggest surprises for me, and not biggest surprises, but the two most anticipated characters, because I knew that they were cheesy in the comics. And if they're cheesy in the comics, I know James Gunn's going to do a good job. So Polka Dot Man and Ratcatcher are excellent. And the actors who play them are also excellent. I will say nothing about their stories, or about why I love them, but I can only just highly recommend this movie. I think it's, I of the Marvel ones, I haven't been excited about this year that much. Spider-Man was, the trailer looks cool, but and what's it called? Shang-Chi, I'm like cautiously optimistic because I've seen them drop the ball on this genre before, or not specifically Marvel, but Disney dropped the ball on this genre before.
Mhm.
And Eternals narrowly missed my most anticipated list, but I'm excited for that one. I'm excited for that one. But I think Suicide Squad, I think, is everything that I want out of superhero fiction. It affirms the fiction and pokes fun at it as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
My coworkers and I were talking about uh like character actors who are always kind of playing side roles, and the dude who plays Polka Dot Man came up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
he's always fucking great. Even in like Prisoners, he's fucking fantastic.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Even in Dark Knight, he's great.
Yeah.
And of course, Michael Papa John's name was also thrown in there because I had to.
You got to throw in Michael Popajohn.
Yeah. He's in Reminiscence, which I haven't seen, but apparently he's in that. There's your Michael Papa John for the day.
The
Hot
worst
and
flop of the
freshly
year.
delivered. Yeah.
I think it made $2 million on its debut.
At it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've almost single-handedly convinced me to want to see it. And
Yeah.
so I think I'll dip my toes in whenever I have a goddamn moment to myself. I'll watch Suicide Squad.
Yeah. It's on HBO Max until the 6th, but I think it's still in
Okay.
theaters. Yeah.
Groovy.
Cool.
My number one, huh? We're already there.
We are.
You ready to roll your eyes real bad?
Go for it.
You're
Go for it.
ready to have those eyes looking at your goddamn brain?
Oh, man.
This one is both a curveball and incredibly expected. It's Inside, written,
Aw.
directed, and edited by Bo Burnham.
I was like, please don't be inside. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think it's more of a film than it is a comedy special, honestly.
I agree. Yeah.
It's essentially half musical comedy special, half documentary of what it's like to be an artist in isolation, have strict deadlines for yourself and try to keep that motivation going, while also staying true to yourself, dealing with imposter syndrome, dealing with if it's even your right to try to make people laugh during a terrible year at a terrible time. And all that coming off of the most tumultuous time of your life last time you attempted such a thing.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's sad. It's fucking hilarious. He does all this within the confines of one room. For the most part, there's 3 shots outside of the room, maybe. Spoiler. Should have been called outside. But like the lighting is incredible. Like what he does, which is like a projector screen and maybe like 4 lights, is batshit crazy. He gets crazy results out of just a cell phone light.
Mhm.
What he does for that, I mentioned capturing the digital age. He does that incredibly well with limited resources. Just the blocking and staging of it all. There'll be scenes where he's laying on the floor, but he like artfully designs all of his equipment on the floor around him.
Yeah.
And it's just gorgeous tableaus like that. Even the cinematography is great. It's mostly static with like slow zooms in or zooms out. But he breaks that, and it's super jarring. When you're used to watching a still camera that's either slowly zooming or not at all for like an hour, and then suddenly it falls over, you're like, oh fuck, this environment's fragile, what the hell? Or like he picks it up to scream in your face. Like those moments hit crazy
Yeah.
hard.
It's great.
I know I'm a Bo Burnham stan and I jerk him off way too much, but it's for a reason. He fucking did it again, and I think he created something beautiful here. I don't think I gave my score. I'll give it now. I give it a 9.8.
Oh, wow.
Incredibly high praised. I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic.
Nice. I'm glad, man.
Also, is going to make a run at my album of the year because the songs are fantastic. Like, unironically, they're great songs.
Jeffrey Bezos. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Inside. I loved it a lot, and like I keep telling people like that shot of him with the headlamp looking directly into the camera and then looking up
Yeah.
to a disco ball that I didn't even see before.
So surprising and great.
Yeah, I think that's going to be in my top 5 shots of the year for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
That
so,
and like the I'm turning 30 where he's like spinning the light around and like clapping it to the beat. Like just the simple shit.
yeah,
It's one of the most like artistically motivating films I've ever seen.
true. I also just I just think it's really like nice that he came up with something that visually stunning for not just for, you know, people at home, but like for the people like you who've been following him all this time. Like he's kind of made something that I think took everything that he's been dropping hints at in his specials and in his even a little bit in 8th Grade, which is still my favorite Bo Burnham project. I still like I just really think it's cool that it all kind of that he builds on all of it and then adds more. Like the white woman Instagram thing it's so him, but like it feels spontaneous and funny.
Yeah, and the twist
surprising.
in it is still like hard hitting and has something to say. Like he
Yeah.
never gives that up for what could be seen as kind of a cheaper, lower hanging fruit type of joke.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice for your number 1.
Thank you. Yeah.
My number 1 is also a Netflix original. I straight up gave it a 10 because I've already seen it 3 times this year.
Ooh. Can I take a guess? No.
Go for it. Guess.
Mitchell and the Machines?
Yes. It's called,
Okay.
it's the Mitchells
didn't know if
versus
that
the
was a-
Machines. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that was a Netflix original or not. So that's where my trepidation lied.
Yeah. It's produced for Netflix, but it was done by the same studio that did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was my favorite film of 2018. This film is excellent. It's about a film student who can't wait to get away from her family. Relatable. And and instead of letting her go, they decide to say goodbye and try to fix their relationship by bringing her on a road trip across the entire country. So they're on the East Coast and they're taking her all the way to California on a road trip. Meanwhile, the robot apocalypse happens, and so this family of misfits and weirdos and people who just don't get along with each other have to fight our humanity's last hope, basically. And the fact that she's a film major really factors into the story. She's like the same age as us, and so she like her sense of humor in the movies that she makes is very it's very like internet humor esque. And so they actually like sometimes will cut to old YouTube memes, and incorporate it into the CGI of the film, into the animation. I mean, the cast is so excellent. Each member of the family gets an amazing arc all the way through. There are like tiny little throwaway lines that get mentioned in the first 5 minutes that pay off in the climax. Eric Andre's in it for like it's so great. The robots are brilliant. Are brilliantly done. Some of them are scary. Some of them are funny. Some of them are really cool. It's again a stacked cast. Danny McBride plays the dopey dad.
Hell yeah.
The villain AI is Olivia Colman. Like, yeah, it's amazing. It's visually stunning. There are so many beautiful shots in this movie that even though they're animated, they look like they were made by legit filmmakers, by people who understand what it means to cut from a thing to a thing. And not just, make cartoons, or make something that kids that makes kids go, ooh, colors. Like they put effort into a really good and rewarding story. Even the dog gets a great arc. It's absolutely brilliant. And I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being my number 1 of the year because I still haven't seen a movie that beats it. We'll see how it goes with
Yeah,
a certain
we got
with a
we got some
certain.
heavy hitters coming up.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. But yeah, those were our favorite movies of 2020, our favorite 2021 releases so far. You want to take us into the next one, Jared?
I'd love to. Um, yeah, that's another one that I still need to see. I like to put it all off and then binge every single movie that came out in like a month.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's great.
but yeah, my new to me. These are movies that did not come out in 2021, but they were new to me, and so they're worthy of a mention.
Yep.
I will start it off with a 2014 movie,
Nice.
um, which people are gonna kind of really hate that it's on this list. This was a real hard list. Spoiler, this was a hard list for me to make. So,
Yes.
probably not the most accurate number 3. I'm confident in 2 and 1. This movie kind of got panned pretty universally, I think.
Interesting.
But I had a fun time. I enjoyed it. And that's As Above, So Below.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. My first time watching it. A lot of people hate it. I thought it was a good claustrophobic horror movie. Does it give a lot of meat? Is there a lot of things that it's trying to say? Probably not. But I liked it a lot. It follows a archaeologist named Scarlett Marlowe, who devotes herself to finding the philosopher's stone.
Ooh.
It's a dumb horror movie. We'll call it what it is. But the setting is cool in the catacombs, which is ripe for horror. And I think they make the most of what they've got. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun time. I don't go to horror for only your hereditaries or your the witches and stuff like that. Sometimes I just want to turn my brain off and enjoy some spooks. And this one gave it to me. And so I'm throwing it on this list.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I have not seen As Above, So Below. I remember my roommates played it from Netflix on our big projector thing, and I like stepped out because I started to feel dizzy. And I think that might be why a lot of people didn't like it when it initially came out. But there's a lot of love for it since it dropped on Netflix. So, you know, I'm definitely open to checking it out again, especially now that I can just watch it on a smaller screen. So yeah, I'll check it out. Good recommendation. My number 3 came out in 1996. It's weird. Like I was born in '96, but I don't often visit or go back and watch movies from that year. I'm always surprised at how few films I've actually seen from '96, even though it's a great year in film. But this one I gave a 7.8. I really enjoyed it. It's a great character drama, a little bit of comedy in there too. But it's overall just a really nice, not nice because there's some deep sadness in it, but a really nicely directed, nicely written hangout movie that's written and directed and starring Steve Buscemi. It's called Trees Lounge. It's about this alcoholic who's basically just coasting around town and meeting all the people that he wants, that he meets, and it's the movie's. Let me pull up the cast real quick. The movie is basically like character actor heaven. Carol Kane plays the bartender. Samuel L. Jackson is in the film. Chloe Sevigny plays his niece. Michael Imperioli, who you guys all probably like from The Sopranos. He's in the movie a lot, and he's really good. Kevin Corrigan, the drama teacher in Community, he's in there a bunch. Yeah, it's just a really good. Mark Boone Jr. from I think Lost, or no, not Lost. Where is he from? Sons of Anarchy. The big guy with the beard and long hair.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's just a really nice movie to watch. Good indie drama and great ending. Like one of the reasons why it even made this list was because the ending was so like it sat with me for like 48 hours. I was just thinking about it and like really really profoundly affected by it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't even heard of it, so I'll have to check that little gem out there.
Yeah. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay. My next one is going to be one that may spark the response. You haven't seen that? And no, I haven't seen every movie. We're getting some love for some documentary. And we're also taking it back to 2011. I gave the following film a 9.2. And that's
Ooh.
Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Hell yeah.
I had never seen it. And I love sushi.
I didn't know that. I would have shown it to you way earlier.
Yeah. It's embarrassing that I haven't, but I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. I love people who are passionate and people who are passionate about perfection. And with something as simple as sushi, pretty much 2 ingredients, really. It's cool to see all the effort that goes into being the best and striving to be the best. It does a great job following every step of the process. We're like, now we're going to spend 15 minutes telling you about where he buys fish. Not even talk about how he prepares it, just the market that he goes to.
So good.
And I love that. I love that detail. I love that they fucking hit it. Jiro is a great protagonist and star of the film. But also the focus on his sons is incredible, and I like that dynamic a lot. Yeah, it's just a fantastic fucking movie, and it's worth all the hype that it gets, and I'm bummed I waited this long.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite documentaries of all time. I agree. And I like talk about detail, like the washing of the rice. Like goodness gracious, so
Crazy.
much work. Yeah, imagine doing that for years. Like that guy did that for years before he even touched anything else. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I love it, though.
Yeah. And it also kind of started that whole trend of like time lapses in the kitchen and really close up.
If you want some food porn,
that's the one.
you get in it.
That's the one. Yeah. Yeah. So good. My number 2 earned a whopping 9.5. This is another popular indie classic that I somehow never really touched, even though it has everything that I love about old indies. It's Gus Van Zant's, I think, directorial debut, and it also kind of made Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon was popular before that. I think he became popular with The Outsiders. But anyway, Drugstore Cowboy, starring Matt Dillon and Kelly Lynch, Heather Graham, and James LaGrosse. James Remar also plays a cop. He's very good in there. Yeah, it's a great movie about. It's kind of an interesting, like, I think you'll like it because there are a lot of heists in it. But it's have you seen it?
No.
Okay, cool. So basically, it's about these pill addicts who go town to town and just rob drugstores. Like that's what they do. That's what they do. Like that's their life.
that's what they do.
Yeah, it's insane. And so you kind of get into this guy's head. He's a narrator. It's like a neo-noir. And I just really love the protagonist. I think he's an excellent. It's one of my favorite Matt Dillon performances that I've ever seen, and I think he's criminally underrated. It's still second to The House That Jack Built, but I really love him in that movie, and the movie is really sensitive, but it's also really bold and really brash at times. It's great. I love it.
Hell yeah. Another one I gotta watch, I guess. You ready for your ego to go through the roof here?
I believe so.
If you have a big old smile on your face.
I think I know what it is.
Along the same lines of Jiro Dreams of Sushi. we've got another little film about perfecting the art of Japanese cuisine in Tampopo.
Woo!
9.5 Tampopo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Described as my co-host here as a ramen western. It holds up to that name. It's delightful, it's silly, it's funny, but it has a passion for food at the root of it that bleeds through and is infectious. Ramen
Yes.
is kind of the ultimate min-max dish where you can perfect the broth over 40 years of your life, or you can microwave it as a college student.
So
Um,
good.
and it really focuses on the max version of that.
Yeah.
It follows a woman's desire to make the perfect bowl of ramen with the help of a silly clan of lads. Um, it's great. Talk about food porn too. Um, different meaning, but
Yes. Yes.
yeah, this 1985 movie is as delicious as you would want out of movie about ramen. Um, it's great. It's just fantastic. I know you're about to nerd out and talk about it for the next hour and a half, but I'll let you go to it. It's hilarious. It's endearing. It's got a lot of heart, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. I 100% agree. It like I only watched it like a month before I recommended it to Jared, and so it's my number one, tied with another one that I'll talk
Oh.
about because
I thought you had seen this a bit ago, honestly.
no, it's still, yeah, I checked and I was like, oh, okay, if because I had something else written as number one, and then I was like, oh, if I saw Tampopo this year, I'm gonna tie it with my number one, like for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's insanely good. Maybe my new favorite of all time. I don't know.
I think you did say that in our Get to Know Jared episode, one of them.
Yeah, like honestly, like it's up there. Like it's I know it's not the best movie ever made. I know it's like not the first one that comes to mind when you think of a film major and his favorite movies. I know it's not the first one that comes to mind when you think of a filmmaker and his favorite movies, or even just a normal person. But yeah, I this movie really resonated with me just because I smiled for the entire runtime, and
Yeah.
like it's like I grew up like my first Ken Watanabe movie was The Last Samurai. Like that was one of my first R-rated movies where he plays a samurai lord who is like really poetic and so stoic, and here he plays like this scrappy little kid who loves ramen, and it's
Yeah.
it's so cute. Like I just love his and the main trucker guy too, and then the reason behind the title Tampopo, the little non sequiturs that have to do with food fetishes, like are so cool. Like the woman who like needs to touch bread. That's such a fun little storyline that like has nothing to do with the rest of the movie,
Yeah.
but it still works cinematically. It works because you understand what the movie is from the very first frame. Yeah, absolutely. I love Tampopo. I'm not going to repeat anything that Jared said because he said it beautifully. Like it's a great film. Came out in 1987. It's available on HBO Max.
I said
but
85. I'm sorry I lied.
oh, is it?
I
Is it
don't.
85?
I might be wrong.
I could be wrong.
I'll do a quick Google.
Maybe it's a U.S. release. In the 80s.
It's 85. Oh, yeah. So we were both right. It is U.S. release 87.
Okay, yeah.
Wide release 86, made in 85.
All right. My bad. Because I usually go by the original. Okay. But the one that I originally had for my number one was a movie called Sanjuro. It's also a Japanese film. It's kind of a classic by Akira Kurosawa. I had never seen this movie before until recently. I had seen not the prequel, but like, so the movie Yojimbo came out, hugely popular, one of the best samurai westerns of all time. And actually, completely got ripped off by Sergio Leone for in the Fistful of Dollars film.
Like frame by frame.
Pretty much, yeah. And so both of these movies get a 10 out of 10 for me, but or not Yojimbo, but actually no, Yojimbo I'd probably give like a high 8, but a high 8 point something. But Sanjuro, the sequel, was originally written as a short story about a samurai, and because Yojimbo was so popular, they just incorporated that character into the story. And it's only 90 minutes long. It's every bit as silly, every bit as funny as Yojimbo was, but like even funnier, I think. The story is pretty wacky and fun, and then the ending is just, oh my god! I talked about Trees Lounge having one of the best endings of all time. Sanjuro's like devastating ending is like, I'll never forget it for as long as I live. Like it's crazy. A brilliant masterstroke in editing and sound design, and just a really awesome thing to a really awesome subversion of that genre. Even at the time, like in 1962, they really do a great job of talking about duty and honor and violence that early, and I appreciate it for that. So Sanjuro, I don't know where you can watch it. It might be on HBO Max because that's where a lot of the Criterions are. Right now, Google is only pulling up. You can rent it for $3.99 on Amazon, but highly recommend Sanjuro. Very good movie.
All right. I'm a big fan of Yojimbo. I have not seen it, so I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah,
Great list. Good shit.
Good
I'm
shit.
surprised there was crossover. I guess if I had known you had seen Tempopo this year, I wouldn't have
Yeah,
been surprised that there was crossover.
faux show.
But
faux
good
show.
shit.
Yeah, me too.
Which means it's time for the most anticipated. I guess, do you want to go first this time? I know you wanted to guess my list, which you still are open to.
So for number 3, I'll guess French Dispatch.
I'm not going to tell you yet.
Oh, okay.
You have to guess them all now, and then
Okay.
I'll...
I'll say number 3, French Dispatch, number 2, Dune, and number 1, Last Night in Soho.
We'll see.
We'll see. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I deliberately avoided 2 of those so that you can talk more about them. But for my number, shit.
You're already going number 2 right off the bat?
No, let me...
I feel like you didn't give that joke enough credit. That's
No, I did. I did. I'm just concentrating on the... I'm sorry.
That was kind of the joke of the episode. That's fine.
I'm gonna switch mine around. So my number 3 is directed by one of my favorite directors currently. She's in the middle of a rise in popularity, but my family's always been a fan of hers. I started I watched Songs My Brothers Taught Me first, and then I watched whatchamacallit, Nomadland, and then The Writer. But she kind of became popular with The Writer and got this job, the job for Eternals. Of all the Marvel projects, I think this is the one that I'm most curious about. It's the one that I'm most excited about, because it looks completely different from the other ones. As much as I love Spider-Man, as much as I just the Tom Holland Spider-Man is cool and he's neat, and I like the performance, and I like Zendaya, but I think they're good MCU movies. They're not, so far they've been good MCU movies. They haven't really been good Spider-Man movies. And so I'm putting off my excitement for that film, for Spider-Man, whatever it's called, No Way Home, and putting Eternals at the top of the list. I mean, look at this cast: Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, and Kit Harington, the brothers Stark reunited on screen, on the big screen, on IMAX. Gemma Chan, totally been killing it the past few years. I'm excited to see that she's coming up. Salma Hayek, Don Lee from Train to Busan, Kumail Nanjiani, Barry Kogan from The Green Knight and Killing of a Sacred Deer, Brian Tyree freaking Henry. Holy shit! What a great cast. It's been a while since I've read Neil Gaiman's Eternals run, so I'm gonna reread it before watching the movie. But if it's anything like that, it's gonna be magic. So I'm excited for that. Eternals. I think November 5th is the release date. Yes, November 5th.
Yeah, pretty fucking stacked cast. I'm excited to hear you gush about it once you see it.
True.
My number 3 is not French Dispatch.
Ooh, one wrong already.
However, pretty still right. Because coming in at number 3, one of the most anticipated movies by the general public has got to be Dune.
Yes.
My boy Dennis Villeneuve.
Hate that every time.
With his sci-fi epic,
Yes.
with over a 2.5-hour runtime. But I'm excited for every minute of it. After seeing him pull off Arrival, I got nothing but faith that he can do this sci-fi epic justice. The justice that fans crave. I have not read the book. I haven't even seen the original movie, but I'm just riding off Villeneuve hype alone. The cast is fucking incredible. If you haven't heard, spoiler, great cast. Timothy Chalamet, who I overrated. Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, Oscar Isaac, Stellan Skarsgård, and
Crazy.
Javier Bardem, and a million other people that I love and adore. Hans Zimmer's doing the soundtrack, so who wouldn't love that? Great, highly regarded source material. Greg Fraser on the cinematography.
I don't know.
From The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay. Sold.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, I'm super hyped for this movie. Everybody's hyped for this movie. Will it probably still somehow flop like Blade Runner in the box office? Probably, maybe. Who knows? All I know is we're gonna get a great movie, so it doesn't matter the money it rakes in. Number 3 is Dune.
Hell yeah. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah.
I did not include it on this list because I knew we were gonna hear something about it.
What if I also didn't include it because of that same reason?
That we just suck. It's just gonna be an
don't talk
honorable
about
mention. Our favorite director gets an honorable mention. No, obviously, like, even if you took out everybody except Batista and Momoa, I'm first in line in the theaters. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
I love the cast.
Even just Momoa.
Yeah, exactly. Did you? Oh, so they did this together, and then they also did. They're doing season 2 of C, but they just said that they're in the middle of like doing a story. That they're gonna both be cops in Hawaii.
I'm on board.
Yeah, and they like pitched this to each other on Twitter. Like,
It's gonna be called The Better Baywatch.
the better, exactly, the better Baywatch. I'm so excited for both of them. They're both excellent actors who deserve all the attention that they're getting now.
Yeah. October 22nd, by the way. I didn't say the date.
So excited. My film is also coming out in oh, never mind, not October, my bad. It's coming out December 3rd. For my number 2, I went with Nightmare Alley, the upcoming film directed by Guillermo del Toro, based on the 1946 novel. It features a hugely stacked cast. To start, Bradley Cooper and Kate Blanchett as the leads. You also got Willem Dafoe, Toni Collette, Richard Jenkins, Ron Perlman, Rudy Mara, Holt McCallany, Tim Blake Nelson, Mary Steenburgen, David Strathairn. Oh my God. Like, yeah, why not? I don't care what the movie's even about. Like, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I don't care. Let's go. No, it's about Carney who manipulates people.
Hell yeah.
So
Yeah. And
we're
this one
in.
barely missed my list. It would be my number 4.
Yeah. It's also got Paul Anderson from the Peaky Blinders series and Michael Shannon. Hopefully, I didn't see him in the Wikipedia, but he's on the Google, so maybe. Yeah. I don't know anything else about it, but I'm on board just from those names.
Yeah. Same. Same Z's.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm super hyped for that one. When does it come out again?
December
Did you say?
3rd.
December 3rd. Hell yeah.
Woo.
My number 2, one that Jared did not mention amongst his guesses.
Ooh.
Bit of a curveball pick coming out exactly a month from the date of recording this,
Ooh.
October 1st. Ooh, pulled back the curtain on this episode a little bit. It's old. Coming out October 1st, a director that's been on a hot streak, with a production company that's been on a hot streak, already won the Palme d'Or in Cannes. That is Titan, by Julia Ducournau. Ducournau? I don't know. I don't speak French.
Ducournau.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say. I
Probably.
don't say Ducournau because that's a concentration
Yeah.
camp.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Julia.
Anyways, Julia. Yeah, it won the Palme d'Or, so I'm gonna get excited about whatever movie wins that.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah.
horror nerd, so when I found out, oh, a horror movie won that, I'm in. Oh wait, a body horror movie won it, even more in. Fucking lube me up, Cronenberg.
Yes.
And then to find out it's the director of Raw who did it. How could I not be fucking hyped on this movie?
Yeah.
I know almost nothing about it. If you look it up, like the description of it is a definition of Titan, which is great. The trailer is just a bunch of scenes, some sexy, some foreboding, some looking like they're going to be gruesome. I just could not be more excited for this film.
Indeed. I it's my number 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. I thought we were going to escape with no crossover.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
we're
like,
gonna
damn
do
it. I was like, ooh, I got something slipped by Jerry. Oh, but no, it's good. I'm glad you picked it because it's definitely like, I've been especially attracted to body horror in the past few years because now it's the only thing that really like affects me. But BBC had called it the most shocking film of 2021. So I'm on board for that. Everything that Jared said is brilliant. The premise is up on Wikipedia. I don't know if you want to.
Okay. I've avoided digging in too deep. I could take
Okay.
off my headphones if you want to say it.
Yeah. So good. Okay. Yeah, I'm on board. You could put your
All I heard, or all I saw was you mouthing, yeah, I'm on board.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like that alone is enough for me. And I didn't watch the whole trailer because as soon as I saw the first 30 seconds, I was like, you know what, I want to go into this as blind as possible, even though I know the premise. Like I don't want to see anything, I don't want to hear anything.
Look at us being the opposites.
Yeah, I know.
Luckily for me, the trailer was just like, here's a shot, here's a shot, here's a shot, here's a shot.
Yeah.
And so you're pretty solid.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and like the premise itself is like doesn't tell you anything about what happens after the thing in the premise happens. So we'll see.
Gotcha.
I think this director is one of the best working today. Even though she's only had one film under her belt, like Raw is so great. And even just like I rewatched it recently, and it's fucking perfect. Like, and I'm like printing out the script at Kinko's tomorrow so I can read it too. Like I just want to, because it's out on English for free online if you guys want to read it.
Ooh.
If you're a writer and you wanted screenwrite, like I highly recommend you read screenplays, because it's also a fun way to consume movies, especially if you've seen the movie already. But yeah, Titan or Titan, I don't know how to say it. As a French woman, super excited.
Hell yeah. Well, we're here at my number one. It is one of the ones you guessed. Surprise, surprise. The Edgar Wright fanboy. Striking here.
Yep.
I am surprised you said French Dispatch, because I got in many a fight with cohort Lay about saying Wes Anderson's a little overrated, being style over substance.
I thought you were the one that recommended Wes Anderson to her.
No, she was already a Wes Anderson fan coming
okay.
to America.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm still gonna watch it for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But
yeah.
it's probably not cracking my top 5 most anticipated. I know I'm gonna love it,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, one I know I'm gonna love probably even more. Last Night in Soho, coming out October 29th, directed by Edgar Wright. His kind of dip into horror, which I get, like, more straight horror than than horror comedy.
Right.
I'm excited for it. I love Edgar Wright. I love everything he does. Even Sparks Brothers, I was a huge fan of. It's great. An aspiring fashion designer fucking time travels.
So good.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I'm into it.
Yeah. It's amazing.
A horror by him about that, and psychological horror nonetheless. And not even that, taking on Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie as the leads. Fuck me up. Two of my favorite budding actresses. I'm here for it. Yeah, like I'm speechless. I'm just that excited for it.
Same.
Yeah, this is going to be a day one. All 3 of these are going to be a day one watch, but this one especially, I'm gonna drag everybody I know, all 3 people I know, to the theater to go see it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited for you to watch it. I'm just excited that it's coming out. And it looks like kind of like Giallo, or however you pronounce that. Giallo.
Gaio, I think.
That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think it's just Gaio. Yeah.
Gaio. Okay. It's it looks like a really like Gaio heavy influence type movie. A lot of really heavy primary colors. And which I love. I think that's great. And even just the way they show the title in the trailer, I'm like, nobody does freeze frames like that anymore. Like, I'm so glad that Edgar Wright's willing to dip his toes into something as crazy as this. Yeah.
And if
so
anybody
excited.
could pull it off, it's probably going to be him.
Yeah,
I'm also a big fan of comedy turned horror guys. Jordan Peele being the shining example. It's something about it. You just know how to manipulate people's emotions, I guess. I'm hyped for it. I could not be more excited.
Good. I'm glad. Did you have any like honorable mentions for your anticipated?
You kind of stole my one with Guillermo del Toro.
Okay.
Yeah, probably that. Maybe French Dispatch, although I'm not really fully on board, even though it's a stacked fucking cast and a great director, and I know it's gonna be good. And I'm more excited for the hidden gems that pop up with the late Oscar season, or I guess early Oscar season releases. I'm hyped.
Same. A couple of those, or one of those being the card counter, which I didn't include on this list because, or I gave it an honorable mention because by the time this episode comes out, the movie will already be out.
Yeah.
But it's Oscar Isaac, Tiffany Haddish. So yeah, it's gonna be
Oscar
great.
Isaac gonna have a fucking phenomenal year.
Yeah, I know, and it's directed by Paul Schrader, who just recently killed it with First Reformed. Legendary writer of Taxi Driver, and Scorsese's even putting his name on it just to give it more press. So it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be full of depressed men, and I'm excited for that. I also had Top Gun Maverick. I'm excited to watch that in IMAX. Like they stuck an IMAX onto a fighter jet and actually took it off. I'm excited for that.
Because of course they did.
Because Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. And Malignant, the new IP by James Wan.
Yeah. That one, the first 3/4 of the trailer, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. And then the last, I was like,
We'll see.
I'll also watch it.
Yeah, he's always surprised me. Like, and I don't know why, because every single one of his movies is good. Like even Aquaman and Furious 7, which are like throwaway action stories, like excellent action. Like he's such a brilliant visual mind and a brilliant eye for the way the camera moves throughout a scene. He started, $2 billion horror franchises. So and Insidious, which was like a $500 million horror franchise. So I'm super excited for Malignant. I can't wait, and I love Annabelle Wallace from the Peaky Blinders series as well. So
I'm very hyped for that too.
Yes.
One that I'm hyped to see, that when we're just on the topic of horror, that I haven't yet, that is already out. The Night House.
Oh yeah,
that's a little bit of a hidden gem.
It's good, dude. It's a good movie. Like
I'm trying to see that ASAP, but my girlfriend wants to see it with me, and our schedules don't line up. So I'm like racing to try to see it before it leaves theaters.
Yeah, I know. You'll definitely like it because it's like a great story on top of being like pretty like awesome visual horror.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. There's our top 3 with an asterisk.
Woo!
Hope you loved it. Let us know yours. DM us. I'm curious because it'll help us find movies to get hyped about.
Exactly.
And movies that we missed that you saw. I'm sure Jared has seen them because he's a freak, but nonetheless,
because I don't sleep.
let us know.
Yeah. All right. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Woo!